So recently this guy made a video about this bill, which was made by this guy, and this guy has some conspiracies about the Antichrist or something. JK, he made some claims about people getting torn from their homes, which seems to be untrue. His video's been pulled. This is actually a re-upload, but I wanted the picture for a potential thumbnail. So, what are we talking about? HR 6666. Kind of hilarious that would come up. I suppose it had to happen eventually. There's probably a 666 somewhere. I understand this has an extra 6, but people like to make conspiracies because they're fun and a lot of times very stupid. Anyways, I thought this bill was kind of interesting because this guy wrote a bill to spend $100 billion on funding testing and contact tracing, specifically for underserved communities. It makes sense. I appreciate that you would want to spend money on that. The majority of representatives who signed for this bill to be proposed were Democrats, so no surprise there. Kind of up to their usual business. But contact tracing, publicly funding contact tracing, that's interesting. Especially since I'm interested in technology. It's something that I think about a lot, proprietary technology, open source, that kind of thing. So I looked into contact tracing a little bit to bring it to your attention. If you don't know, contact tracing is where your cell phone, which uses Bluetooth, can handshake with other cell phones that are around you. So if you are, if you test positive for coronavirus and your phone is near other phones, essentially it lets the people in charge know what's going on. And that raises a number of eyebrows because what about my privacy? So you have a lot of protocols being used for this kind of technology. You have decentralized privacy-preserving proximity tracing, pan-European privacy-preserving proximity tracing, privacy-sensitive protocols and mechanisms. But what's more interesting is that Apple and Google are working together to make what has been described as an operating system level Bluetooth technology contact tracing that goes on your phone. And that's even more interesting if you know how many cell phones use one of their operating systems. Together, they make up about 98% of mobile operating systems, and I guess more than that. If you do the math, probably 99%. And if you don't know, Android is mostly maintained by Google. There are very few Android operating systems out there that are not Google-based. There's like very, very few flavors that people actually use anyways because the Google operating system is more feature-rich. That's besides the point. The majority of operating systems on your phone are going to have this contact tracing technology on them eventually. Now, they're just working on an API. This isn't necessarily guaranteed to, trace you. And we could already trace people based on geolocation and things like that. Your data is constantly being collected and stored. But as an individual, it's not particularly important, except that it's an invasion of your personal privacy. And like Edward Snowden showed us, this has been a problem for ages. So here's just an article headline showing you this is not bunk. This is Apple's website. Apple and Google are actually working together. And people like this. Contact tracing is popular, at least in the public eye, according to normies who don't respect their own privacy and freedom. But, keep an eye out. It's good to be mindful, especially since this whole virus thing is looking like not a nothing burger. It's probably twice as bad as the flu. We have 100,000 deaths, and typically the flu takes maybe 50,000 people at a high estimate. Just seems like it's definitely bad, but I don't know if it's this bad enough to infringe on your privacy to this degree. But we knew this would happen with non-free software. Richard Stallman's been saying stuff like this forever. This is just a quick Snopes article that I pulled up because people have been talking about this particular factoid quite a bit, and Snopes doesn't even completely refute it because, frankly, we don't know what hospitals are and are not reporting. You can't know what other people do. But it isn't necessarily true, according to Snopes research, that hospitals pay a flat rate based on COVID diagnoses and ventilators. This is an estimate taken from a Fox News interview. But it is very possible that hospitals overreport the number of deaths specifically attributed to COVID. This has obviously been somewhat partisan for reasons I can only imagine. Presumably, Republicans want to restart the economy because that's what Republicans care about, And Democrats want to spend $100 billion on testing because I guess they want to win an election in November. So anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching.